Protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol. We have the latest as lawmakers say they'll continue certifying the presidential elector votes. And some Southeast Kansas sheriff's employees begin receiving vaccines after a delay.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats. We will not bow to lawlessness or intimidation.
We can now add January 6th, 2021, to that very short list of dates in American history that will live forever in infamy.
Our nation's lawmakers tonight are back on the job after returning under armed escort, many vowing that the work of democracy will not be deterred by what happened today in our nation's capital. Hours earlier, hundreds of President Trump's supporters pushed through barriers and into the Capitol building, vandalizing the building, confronting law officers, and forcing lawmakers to seek safety. It all began as lawmakers tried to meet their obligation to count electoral votes from the presidential election. Reporter Natalie Brand is on Capitol Hill now with more.
Members of Congress made their way through the halls back to the Capitol, flanked by law enforcement officers from multiple agencies.
Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And this is still the people's house.
On the Senate floor, Vice President Mike Pence gave a rousing speech as lawmakers reconvened to continue counting electoral votes. Earlier, rioters stormed the building, breaking through doors and busting windows. Capitol Police drew their weapons at one barricaded door from inside the House, though eventually protesters breached both chambers.
We forcefully got pushed through.
CBS News spoke with protester Boyd Camper from Montana, who was inside the Capitol.
Now, we did charge the aisle into the chambers, and we got tear gas and we got pushed back, okay? And after that, I retreated.
You have to go home now. We have to have peace.
President Trump posted a video that has since been removed from Facebook and Twitter, urging calm. Hours earlier, he addressed a gathering near the White House.
We will never give up. We will never concede.
President-elect Joe Biden also addressed the chaos here, calling it an assault on democracy and an insurrection.
Today's reminder, a painful one, that democracy is fragile, and to preserve it requires people of goodwill, leaders with the courage to stand up.
In response to the day's chaos, several Democratic lawmakers are now calling for President Trump to be removed from office. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The president's former defense secretary and chief of staff, James Mattis, slammed the president in a statement saying, quote, "Today's violent assault on our Capitol, an effort to subjugate American democracy by mob rule, was fomented by Mr. Trump." Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri tweeted that the violence at the Capitol today is shameful and voiced his appreciation to Capitol Police. Senator Jim Inhofe from Oklahoma echoed the senator from Missouri, thanking law enforcement and calling for an end to the violence. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley's press office issued a tweet that also called for an end to the violence and praised law enforcement. Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma had previously planned to object to the Electoral College certification, but says tonight that he will vote to certify, saying, quote, "We must stand together as Americans. We must defend our Constitution and the rule of law." And in a statement sent to KOAM News, U.S. Congressman Jake LaTurner from Kansas said, quote, "The lawless behavior at the U.S. Capitol is reprehensible and has no place in our country. This is a stain on American history, and I condemn it in the strongest possible terms." Close to 1,000 supporters of President Trump gathered today outside the Oklahoma state capitol. Protesters held Trump 2020 flags and signs that read "Stop the Steal." A handful carried long guns, which is legal in Oklahoma. The Oklahoma legislature was not in session, and much of the crowd dispersed after a light rain began to fall. About 200 people rallied at the Kansas State House today to show their support for overturning President-elect Joe Biden's victory. They chanted, "Stop the steal, 4 more years, and no more masks." The rally even brought up some prominent Republican leaders.
The Constitution and federal statutes set out today as a potential decision point. And that's why it's so important. You know, in previous elections, people just, this day came and went, and people said, oh, I read that they did something in Congress. Well, today at least people are learning.
The rally was met with counter demonstrators who hope to send a message of their own. Hundreds of protesters gathered for a Stop the Steal rally at the Missouri Capitol in Jefferson City. Some said they feel disenfranchised. That rally was promoted through Facebook. Democrats needed to win both runoff races in Georgia to control the U.S. Senate. One went their way early this morning in the race between Raphael Warnock and Kelly Loeffler. And now CBS News projects the Democrat Jon Ossoff has also won the second Senate seat in Georgia, defeating Republican David Perdue. Democrats will now control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Checking in with Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather. Doug.
Hey Dow, it's been gloomy here for us today. We've had the clouds and on and off showers throughout the day, but at least temperatures have been staying above freezing. 38 this morning, 45 for a high, right where we should be for this time of the year, early January. And we've had these on and off showers throughout the day. This is going to continue tonight. You can see in the green, this is light rain. Where you see the yellows and the oranges, that's moderate rain. Then where you pick up the blue, southwestern parts of Missouri, that's a little bit of light snow that is mixing in across parts of Lawrence County, southern parts or northern parts of Berry County, and then even into eastern parts of Newton County. And this will kind of slowly spread throughout the overnight hours. We're going to get a little bit of snow mixing in and could even briefly switch all over to snow on the Missouri side. I don't think this is going to be a big deal, but we're going to break this system down and look down the road as well, coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, we'll catch you then. Thanks, Doug. The Oklahoma Department of Health will begin notifying some Oklahomans tomorrow that they are eligible for appointments to get COVID vaccines. Oklahomans who are healthcare workers, first responders, or over the age of 65 will be eligible for appointments starting tomorrow. The state health department says those people should check their email first thing tomorrow morning, as that'll be the first opportunity to schedule their vaccine appointment. COVID vaccinations are progressing at Missouri's long-term care facilities. The national pharmacy chain CVS Health said today it's completed coronavirus vaccinations at more than 100 long-term care facilities in Missouri, but that it still has 500 more to go. The U.S. Department of Health and Senior Services last year selected CVS Health and Walgreens to administer vaccinations at nursing homes and other long-term care facilities all across the U.S. In Missouri, those vaccinations began on December 28th. CVS says it expects to finish administering the first round of COVID-19 vaccine doses in the nation's long-term care facilities by January 25th. More southeast Kansas counties are getting coronavirus vaccines. Last week, we reported that 100 doses of Moderna vaccine were in Crawford County when they were designated for Labette and Cherokee counties. Both counties have received vaccines, and staff at the Labette County Sheriff's Office has started being vaccinated. Many of them are jail staff, something the sheriff prioritized since they've been dealing with a COVID outbreak that's resulted in 41 positive cases. Cherokee County is also getting ready to vaccinate staff, with a lot of emergency medical personnel already getting first doses. Sheriff Groves hopes it means a light at the end of the tunnel.
We can see our way through, this pandemic to where it's not at least as spread as easily and to as many people. So, that certainly had an impact on a lot of families, a lot of businesses, and the sooner we can get to that next phase of mitigating some of that hardship, the better.
The state of Kansas is still in the first phase of their distribution plan. Officials expect vaccines to be available to the general public in the spring, with availability becoming widespread in the summer. Still ahead, what pregnant women need to know about getting the COVID-19 vaccine, and what European researchers have learned about one of the most common COVID-19 side effects. Freeman Acumed today gave us a look at its new blood alcohol testing unit. Freeman officials tell us the new machines are an upgrade from the original tests with an easier to read screen.
The technology jump is the biggest advancement, and really helping us to be more modern day, because the old one was around since about the early 1990s, so that technology has truly advanced since then.
The new tests also have an air blank that ensures there is no residual alcohol left on the test, so patients can be sure they're accurate. Many pregnant women are questioning whether to get the coronavirus vaccine. Right now, there is limited data on how safe it is for them. Pregnant women are at significantly greater risk for severe COVID. CBS News senior medical correspondent Dr. Tara Narula spoke with a pregnant nurse about why she decided to get the vaccine.
Megan Garibay is a registered nurse and infection preventionist at Comanche County Memorial Hospital in Lawton, Oklahoma. She's 8.5 months pregnant and received her first dose of the Pfizer vaccine last month.
I've got a much higher chance of suffering severe consequences or even death from COVID.
Garibay had a mild reaction from the vaccine and will receive her final dose today.
Did you initially have any hesitation about getting the vaccine while pregnant?
Initially, I would say there was some hesitation just because, at the very beginning, I kind of felt like everyone else did, that the vaccine may have been a little bit rushed, but once I had the data in my hands, that hesitation really went away.
Garibay says that the clinical trial research done on non-pregnant women convinced her to get the vaccine, but there is no safety or efficacy data on how pregnant women and nursing mothers will respond to these vaccines because they were excluded from clinical trials. The CDC says pregnant women can choose to get vaccinated, and the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists advises that COVID-19 vaccines should not be withheld from pregnant women. But for 31-year-old Taiwo Odesanya, the lack of data concerns her. She's 35 weeks pregnant with her first child and says she wouldn't get the vaccine if it was offered.
We don't know what long-term effects even look like for pregnant women as a whole. So we certainly don't know what long-term effects look like for, fetuses.
Dr. Laura Riley is an OB-GYN at New York Presbyterian. She says even with the lack of data, the benefits of the vaccines are very likely to outweigh the risk of COVID-19.
The biology of the way this vaccine works does not make us think in any way that this vaccine is going to be any less safe or any less efficacious in pregnancy.
Dr. Tara Narula, CBS News.
The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists encourages pregnant patients who get the COVID vaccine to sign up for the CDC's safety monitoring program. Researchers in Europe are learning more about one of the most common side effects of COVID-19. In a study of about 2,500 COVID patients, researchers found nearly 86% with mild symptoms reported a loss of smell, while only about 7% of severe cases reported loss of smell. The average patient regained their sense of smell after 22 days, but nearly 25% did not regain it for 6 months. Doug Heddy is up next with his complete forecast, and a little bit later on KOAM News at 10, the 15-1 Webb City boys take on Clever in the Kaminsky Classic, and we're going to have the highlights.
Well, definitely was a gloomy day for us today. Temperatures, they only warmed up into the mid-40s at 4 highs. And of course, we've had the clouds, we've had the on and off showers throughout the day. And this continues for us during the overnight hours for us tonight. Great shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course. Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Of course, the roads have been wet. They're going to stay wet as we work through the overnight hours for us tonight. So rain tonight, a little bit of snow mixing in, especially late tonight and into Thursday, and then kind of staying cold for the next several days. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast. You can go on my month-long blog. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. I think I have the forecast out through February, so the heart of winter, January and also February. Temperatures, they're cold, but we're above freezing, so that's good news. 40 in Yates Center, 41 in Oswego, 39 in Miami, 39 in Pitt, 38 in Neosho. Carthage is sitting at 39. Here at the station, we are also sitting into the upper 30s with on and off showers kind of rotating through, and you can see those light showers. Wherever you see the green, this is very light rain. Where you get a little bit of yellow and orange, that's where you get some moderate rain. Where you see the blue trying to pick up, especially over towards Springfield and Branson, that is actually the snow which is mixing in. But temperatures are pretty warm. It doesn't have to be at the freezing point to get snow. It has to be at the freezing point a few thousand feet up. So that's why we're getting some snow, which is mixing in, and this is going to continue through the overnight hours. Most of us rain. You can see a little batch of snow really from Cassville down toward Eagle Rock and Table Rock Lake, but light to moderate rain in southwestern Missouri, and then a little bit of a lull on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. But this weak system, and is just to the east of Oklahoma City. You can see a little twist there. We'll continue to work through, and then we'll see the system pulling out of here by tomorrow afternoon. All right, let's go through time hour by hour for us tonight. 1 a.m., the rain across the region. Here's 3 a.m. You can see a little bit more snow trying to mix in. That's the pink, and then the blue is all snow. We'll get this kind of light rain snow mix mainly on the Missouri side late tonight into tomorrow morning. If we do see a switch over with some of the snow, it'd be real big fat flakes, but most likely would melt on impact. It would really have to come down to get any accumulations on the grassy surfaces. And then most of this will start to rotate out by the time we head into the afternoon. But it's going to be another dreary day across the region. 34 to start, 36 by noon, high temp of only 38 during the afternoon hours. Clouds will break up a little bit tomorrow night. It's going to be cold as we dip back into the upper 20s. And then Friday, still a lot of clouds, not much warmer. High temps only into the upper 30s for highs. All right, additional rainfall. A lot of us have picked up quarter, 3/10 of an inch. I think about 2/10 of an inch is going to be the average for additional rain from this point on. Snowfall, again, we're staying above freezing, but we could get that snow mixing in mainly on the Missouri side. If there were any accumulations, it'd be on the grassy surfaces, and it'd be light dusting, half an inch. I think maybe a little bit heavier as you head over towards Springfield and also south central parts of Missouri. 38 tomorrow, 39 on Friday. Saturday, not bad, 40, but you can see it stays kind of cold all the way through next Tuesday, and then we bump it up just a little bit into the mid-50s.
So even if we do get that snow, we're not going to be able to put those sleds to use.
Not out of this storm.
All right. Maybe build little tiny snowmen.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Still ahead, the 8th-ranked Webb City boys take on Clever in the Kaminsky Classic, and the PSU women prepare to take on Missouri Southern. We'll have a preview next in sports.
Well, tonight is the opening night of the Kaminsky Classic at Joplin High School. There are 2 pool play games tonight, beginning with the Webb City Cardinals facing the Clever Blue Jays. Webb City is 5-1, ranked 8th in the state in Class 5 coming out of the holiday break. First quarter, Mekhi Gerard, 22 points for him tonight. Cards up 8 going to the second. They did some real damage in the second. Caden Turner hits the 3 ball. Then it's Cole Vaden knocking one down. Finally, check out the good look here from Nikai Howard to Alex Martin. Nikai Howard, 6 assists tonight. Webb City outscores Clever 24-8 in the second. Back to Howard, 16 points tonight for him. Then in the fourth, Trenton Hayes, good from the top of the key. All Webb City tonight. Cards win this one 75-42. To the nightcap now. Tournament host Joplin on the floor against Carl Junction. Dante Washington, nice night for him. Knocks down the 3. The 2 teams trade baskets early. Alex Baker scoring on the far end for CJ. Dogs, though, down 1 after 1. Second quarter, All Right gets going. Tough drive there to score. That one a little easier. 7 for Wright in the second alone, 15 for the night. Back to Washington, though. Team high 16 for him. Eagles get by Carl Junction this evening, 63-52. This week is rivalry week for Pittsburg State and Missouri Southern. 2 teams will meet on Saturday at John Lance Arena in Pittsburgh. On the women's side, it's a battle of 2 teams that are playing pretty well right now. Both the Lions and Gorillas have won 4 games in a row heading into this weekend's game. So this one is big, not just because it's a rivalry, but because these 2 teams are battling for position right now in the MIAA standings.
Through the years, rivalries get built for different reasons. This one, majority of it is because of the location. But I think, at the same time, it's 2 teams that are going to be battling. I know they're on a 4-game winning streak, so are we. And so it's both teams trying to battle just in the kind of identical situation where neither team wants to lose. And so I think that adds a little bit to the fire.
It's such a great rivalry. To me, it's a fun rivalry in that aspect. And our returning kids understand it. Their returning kids understand the importance of it. Our new kids sometimes don't understand until they've been in it and played in it. Then they get a good feeling of it.
That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran, Leonard Wilkins Sr. The Chautauqua, Kansas native served in the U.S. Army, and we are proud to salute Leonard Wilkins Sr. He's tonight's four-state hero. You can learn about other heroes from all across this area. We have thousands of them in our database, but we're always looking for more. You can submit a hero of your own anytime. It's very simple. You just go to our website. You see it there, koamnewsnow.com. We want to quickly recap today's events in Washington. U.S. lawmakers met to certify the results of the 2020 election. As lawmakers gathered to vote and debate, a crowd of protesters gathered at the Capitol, first outside. Those protesters later stormed the building, putting a stop to the vote as lawmakers and Capitol staff sought safety. Hours after protesters seized the Capitol building, law enforcement were able to remove them and lawmakers returned to debate on the electoral votes. And that's where they are right now and may well be far into the night. We'll find out. Let's check back with Doug Heading now for a final look at the weather.
All right, Dow, looks like the rain's going to continue through the overnight hours, mixing with a little bit of snow late tonight into tomorrow morning. If there were any accumulations, it would be on the grassy surfaces and pretty light, as most of this is going to melt on contact. Most of the rain will start to taper off by early afternoon. High temp at 38, and then staying kind of cold, but mainly dry into the weekend.
Doug, thanks, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.